Surviving Sister Wives contains adult content that may not be suitable for Latter-day Saints or sinners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Sister Wives.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly, and this is Chapter 6 of Becoming Sister Wives, the story of an unconventional marriage.
We are partway through the sorority segment.
Snaps.
Oh, snapping again. The whole thing. I don't think Janelle would do very well at Rush Week. I don't think she would know how to haze people in effective ways.
Is she going to do an outfit of the day? An OTD? She's going to post it? She's going to film the whole thing? She's not doing that.
I don't think so. That's a whole lot of work. She's very work-oriented.
She's going to be upset if she gets excluded, though. That's something we learn in this chapter.
Different.
What do you think, your overall impression after having read through this? Because I was kind of interested to find out what Janelle was going to say in the sorority section. Because if you asked me, I feel like she's the sister wife with the least relationships with everyone until more recent times with Christine.
It feels like her sorority section is mostly about how she did not spend time with her sister wives. It was all of her time away from the family that made her better. So I thought that was an interesting,
a little ironic.
Yeah, a little tinge of irony there.
Maybe something that could have been learned from that and taken away.
Yeah, something to examine.
I feel like she's just coming across as very disingenuous as I'm reading her chapters, because it just doesn't feel like she's ever being really transparent and honest.
With herself or with us? Or
Maybe
both?
Both.
Yeah, probably both.
You can just tell she's very guarded in the way that she talks about things. I feel like she's in a job interview as she's dictating this book, and she's trying to sell me polygamy.
But kind of like the clapback that we saw from Meri on social media this week, kind of in response maybe to Christine's audiobook update for her book, Sister Wife, that's coming out in September, which we'll be doing a book club reading for that as well. So stay tuned for updates on that. But how Meri was like, oh, I'm not going to spill the tea on stuff because I'm so above that. But I think it's just because for every one bad thing that Meri has on her sister wives, they probably got 5 or 6 really bad things that Meri's done to them.
5 or 6 of them are in this chapter.
They didn't mention the details specifically, but I think there were a few that we can call out where Meri was the direct result of this. Yes.
Also, is Meri starting a podcast with Jen? It's so confusing, the Salty Birches thing.
I just hope they're not using Yeti mics. And it's okay if you do a podcast and you're just one person using a Yeti mic. I'm totally fine with that. It's when you have 2 people in the same room trying to record something that is the wrong microphone to be using.
That's a PSA for everyone out there.
So just a heads up on that.
Prospective podcasters, Meri, if you're listening, I think they got a studio. They must have fucked up the first recording they did, and they went to a professional.
Is that what happened? Yeah. And now they're just using all the leftover clips of the stuff that they tried to do, and they were like, we can't release this. Nobody's going to like that.
That's my theory. There's no possible way that Meri could keep up with recording a weekly podcast. I think that they're going to record a whole bunch of stuff and then release it week to week.
So even Meri's podcast is going to be a year behind from the real timeline. This is ridiculous. It's getting out of hand now.
Let's get into it. Today's all about Janelle.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of symbolic that we started off a lot of updates about Meri before we talked about Janelle here. But Janelle, chapter 6, has a very idealized vision of polygamy. She thought everything was just going to be sunshine and rainbows.
They all do.
Yeah, everybody.
All these women are just looking for a best friend.
A best friend instantaneously with no other input from that, and also had very high expectations that Kody was going to be able to just instantly navigate polygamy, even though he'd never lived it either.
The best friends thing's really getting me, because you kind of have to have a foundation when you decide that you're going to have that close of a friendship with someone, and they didn't really spend a whole lot of time getting to know each other. It doesn't sound like they had a lot in common, and yet they expect that having married Kody is going to make them suddenly bond together.
I've always had an issue forging personal connections with people. I think having Kody as my husband, that will solve that problem for me, because he's just a magnet for people around him. Yeah. He draws people in. There's a lot of disconnects too about like this past self vision that Janelle has, not only of herself, but also of Meri. Because I think she was mentioning, when I was young, I lacked self-esteem. So there is a moment of clarity there where she's kind of realizing this about herself.
How is this not the foundation that they all bonded over? Because Meri, Janelle, and Christine all talk about having low self-esteem.
I think it was because of Kody. I think Cody's the common factor here. Cody's the reason.
Well, it was before meeting them.
Well, it's just like, that's the consistent thread here of when you're young, you marry Kody, you lack self-esteem. So I think he chose very deliberate ways of fanning the flames of that self-esteem issue, depending on who he was talking to, depending on the circumstance that he found himself in.
So Janelle marries into the family and immediately feels like she's losing her sense of self, which kind of makes sense as you go to read on because she moves away from home. She was living in Utah. She has to move to Wyoming to be with them. She has to move into their house in what was a guest bedroom.
What is this bullshit? Because then wasn't that Meri said that they got a house that was like all theirs, so it wasn't like she would feel like a guest overstaying a welcome, and that's exactly how Janelle describes it.
That's what I thought when I was reading it too.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm pretty sure Meri explicitly stated that this was supposed to be like a fresh start for all of them.
New place for them. Yes, it was not her and Kody's. It wasn't Meri and Kody's place. It was going to be Meri, Kody, and Janelle's.
I mean, maybe it doesn't matter if they were in a new home, just the fact that they were in a house together and Meri and Kody had already been living together as a married couple for 3 years and have their own routines and things established. I'm sure they brought their own furniture. It still just felt like a place that wasn't Janelle's.
I think Janelle's still moving some of the furniture, probably from whatever they moved in with this place. She still has that in the cul-de-sac in Vegas when she was preparing for Maddie and Caleb to live there. Janelle's got old furniture.
We've seen
That's what
it.
I'm getting at.
We need to know the boot lamp origin. Somebody ask her on TikTok. She's on TikTok. Cameo. Pay for it. That way she has to answer it.
Can't avoid it. Because she's all about the work. Work, 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 work.
This kind of explains maybe why working is so important to Janelle, that was the thing that made her feel like she was valuable.
Well, the scary part is this is right in the same paragraph when she's talking about how when she was young, she lacked self-esteem. So in order to find value for herself, she poured it into career. Okay, I'm going to work. And then that's how I, as a person, contribute value to society.
But not anything in particular. Like she doesn't have a passion for a specific career path. It's just working is the thing that she enjoys doing.
See, a lot of people think my job is lifeguard, but it's actually just beach.
Also, I got to give you guys an update. Those of you on the Patreon know that I attempted chaos gardening this year. It's not going well, so I'm really worried for the future of Tata Farms. It's not easy to grow flowers.
Yeah, not going to recommend, at least the way that we went about it. I don't know if we're overwatering because it's like in the beds with the sprinklers. I don't know. That's neither here nor there.
We got a lot of stalks, not a lot of flowers. Kind of feels like it's late in the summer now that they should have bloomed.
Something should have happened by now. I don't know how many are just weeds at this point, and then...
It's another thing. We planted 3 different types of flowers, and I just can't identify what anything is at this point.
I don't know if they're just like being shaded out by other things, and then they didn't get the nutrients they needed. Something's wrong. But this was another reflection moment for Janelle. When Meri was younger, she had quite an overbearing personality. When Meri was younger...
She had to put that in here so Meri didn't get pissed at her.
She had... Have we grown out of that? Has it changed? Because I think we saw a lot of that on the show.
Let's talk about Meri, because we have to clarify some things we said last week about the direct communication. I do think Meri's a bitch.
Don't get us wrong.
But I think there's a difference between communicating directly and being passive-aggressive. And I think she's passive-aggressive on top of being direct.
Well, and then she's
Which really don't make sense together.
She's very particular about things, and then she's judgmental too. And then when she's judgmental, she will say things, but then passive aggressively. So then that's seen as too direct, because normally it's you don't even mention stuff. You don't even talk about things. You don't bring it up if it bothers you. So that's usually the speed. I mean, that's what Janelle was talking about. She was raised to be non-confrontational. She is a people pleaser by nature. And that was how she was brought up to be. Don't rock the boat. Don't make waves. And Janelle just kind of caved to Meri on everything.
I do still feel like Meri is the one person out of this group who has done the most work on themselves current day. The version of herself she is, I do think is pretty different from the original Meri that they got. Not that she's like cured.
Oh, no, not by any means. Yeah. And like, it's an improvement. But again, if you start at a pretty bad spot, because this is where...
Where are we on the scale?
On the scale, how far did we get from our origin point here?
This week for our watch party on the Discord, we're going to be doing the episode where Janelle and Meri work on Thanksgiving decorations together.
Because it has to be work. Yeah. Otherwise, Janelle's not interested.
And one of the things that Meri says at one point is that she had to catch herself to not make a comment about the cans that Janelle sprayed, because that would be something she had done in the past.
In the past.
She would have criticized it heavily.
Clearly, yes. And rightfully so, because honestly, the cans looked like shit, too.
Okay, I think I just made a connection in my mind that the reason that I have a hard time totally disliking Meri for that is that I feel like it's very Martha Stewart of her to have high standards and criticize things when others don't do them as well. If
Meri had leaned into that, if she was able to harness that,
she could have run $1 billion company.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could have done that. So maybe is that, just alternate reality sort of version of Meri. Again, going back to, we understand the shortcomings of Meri. It's a long list. We've had plenty of examples throughout the series. We know that it's just not direct communication. That's not the only complaint that people have. It's more than that, for sure.
No, she was very, very, very picky. And we hear all the things that she complained about when Janelle first came into the family.
But isn't this like living with me, though? Because I'm very incredibly particular about things, too. There's a right way to do things. There's a wrong way to do things.
I can't deny that
we both have
we're attempting to paint a wall tomorrow.
Well.
And we just spent the first 5 minutes before we started recording, not really arguing, but...
No. Well, I'm worried
getting frustrated with how much you're overthinking it.
I'm not overthinking. I'm applying the correct amount of thinking that is necessary for the task.
We've had to watch like 16 different YouTube painting videos.
Yes, because you have to go through. Well, then there's some where it's like, oh, this is bad. And then I exit out of them because it didn't even look good. And whatever they're saying didn't really align with other things. Because basically what I do is I just have to watch a ton of different things. And then kind of what are all of the overlapping points that they have all shared the same instruction on? Okay, that's good. And then if there are ways where they're showing where it looks like it's going better or something, okay, then that's a good thing to note too. You find the little niche things from each individual source as well. So you find out generally what works.
Okay, I'm really falling asleep.
I'm just saying. I'm worried about cutting it right up with the brushes, and then it's going to be like there's a corner that's like right there by the ceiling.
I think you're going to have to keep your side of the wall, and I'll have my side of the room, and then we're going to have to take progress photos, and we
only have one step stool, so how are we both going to do that?
We have two.
Oh, we do. There's one upstairs. Okay.
Yeah, there's no way I'm reaching if I'm not on a stool.
No. I'm not going to hang my arm up there like that. No.
We're going to take progress photos, and maybe we'll post them on the Discord and have people guess who did which one.
Okay.
You with your 18 hours of research and painting, or me just chaos painting?
Well, how's the chaos gardening going, Carly? Not so great.
But Meri's getting upset about Janelle's way of folding clothes, when she washes the dishes, what kind of soap she buys.
Perhaps toothpaste brands got caught into the mix, too. I don't know how Plathville it went.
Yeah, was Mama Plath in here? She only had an issue with that toothpaste that Olivia was using because she wanted her to buy the one from her MLM.
Yeah, from what is it? A box of home products that she was charging to Ethan's credit card.
Something she was double dipping on, where she was making Ethan buy things from her.
Yeah, good times.
But then was also charging all of the purchases to his credit card.
So Janelle is just sick of being berated every time she goes out into the common areas of the home. So now she's just retreated to... I'm just going to stay in my room. She's going with the college dorm room solution here.
This is such a good example of bad roommates.
It's year one.
When she said that Meri got mad at her for folding her laundry, so she would just leave it in the dryer well after the buzzer went off.
See, okay, there
No,
are
no.
worse things that you can do.
You throw it on top of the dryer.
Yeah, you take that out of there.
You want to be, Janelle, we're going to teach you how to be passive aggressive.
Yeah.
This is what you learn when you go to college. When you have roommates and they leave their wash in the washing machine and it's been sitting there and you're waiting to do your laundry, you take it and you throw it on top of the washing machine.
You remember that one
You leave it
apartment?
there.
There was an apartment that we had where you used to have to, it was just the shared laundry room at the bottom of the apartment building. And these were grown-ass adults. This wasn't even in college. This was like an apartment building. And there were people who would just take up a whole row of washers, and then all of the clothes are just in there. They didn't come down to switch them into the dryer. So then people would just take their laundry out and throw them onto like the table or like the counter that was over by the window. And that's just a pile of wet clothes, wet, damp.
I'm not putting it in the dryer.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not using my card for it. Yeah, you got to come put your money on the card and then you got to swipe the dryer, man. I'm not doing that.
Tell her to set a fucking alarm.
Something. Yeah, I mean, it's...
The kitchen timer. I'm sure that's all they had back then.
Yeah, you can't ask Alexa
Set it for
to set a
45
timer.
minutes.
No, yeah, it's not going to work.
They're fed up with each other. You can tell. That's a great example. She's still mad about the laundry all these years later.
She's living in seclusion now. Retreated.
Kind of like Truly living with David and Christine. Just staying in her room a lot.
It's the safest way to go. I like how Janelle had to call out, too, that divorce was never an option for them. So that's how bad it was already that they're kind of kicking around the idea. This is also a record marriage time for Janelle at this point. Hers was about 6 months, and then that fell apart with Meri's
It's
brother.
usually about when she checks out.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, was living with Meri, was that a little too close to some same idiosyncrasies as living with her brother? Did that trigger things in Janelle? But no, they're committed to the lifestyle.
It's so weird that Janelle's mother is Meri's mom's sister wife. And then she was married to Meri's brother. So you would think as a family, they have a lot of shit to talk about how this particular family does things and what it's like to live with them. Because it sounds like it's not a great experience no matter which one you pick.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Meri didn't go back to her family and, yeah, kind of sour things with the relationship with Janelle there. Meri could have been complaining about how, yeah, it's terrible. Look, Janelle moved in. It's not going good.
I guess that's true too.
Same thing. It can go both ways.
No, you just suffer in silence in polygamy. That's the way it's done. Kody has a weird job where he just disappears. He's gone from 6:30 in the morning till 10:30 at night, 6 days a week.
What?
Selling billboards?
Billboards?
This is the sales job, right?
This is a traveling sales job. At this point, I was like, is he selling something door to door? Where he is just out there knocking on every door?
I'm not really understanding this. I worked someplace that was sales centric. I was not a salesperson, but I could tell you the salespeople usually got in trouble because there was no way they were working till 10:30 at night. If anything, they had an issue that they would just disappear around 3 p.m. every day and nobody knew where they went.
Here's my theory. He was not working until 10:30 at night. Kody did not want to go into that house. He was retreating from that house as well, where Janelle had to hide in her room because she was still stuck in the house with Meri. Kody just chose, I'm going to just drive around town. I'm going to go look at billboards. I'm going to go eat at a drive-through or something. I'm going to go sit at the library. Something else that I can do with my time.
Maybe this is the origin story of why no one ever knows where Kody is.
He's
been doing this for a very long time.
He's just out there going, according to Robyn.
How uncomfortable that she's stuck in the house with Meri, who's being passive aggressive, I'm sure slamming things around in the kitchen.
It's only a matter of time because you can only hide in your room for so long throughout the day where then you're going to feel like you're losing your mind here. So then Janelle finds work to throw herself into. She starts going to the family ranch and she's helping out as much as she can. She's working outdoors. She's finding a sense of self.
She's willing to become the cowboy that Kody never could be because she just needs to get away from Meri.
That's why Wynn was impressed with her.
She's got a lot of work ethic, this one.
She's
always here.
All about it. Yeah.
More than you ever were.
Yeah, not so much from what we've seen from Kody.
I never thought about it, but Janelle was like primed for COVID. She's been there, done that. She's stuck in her room for like months on end.
Even though she didn't really do that. That wasn't really her approach to COVID.
No, she's been there, done that. She's traumatized.
Yeah,
she can't do it again.
Find things to do outside, though. I think that was an easy transition point. That was most of us during COVID. It's, I'm inside too much. I need to do something outside.
Even though she's going to the ranch and her mom is there, her mom is newly a sister wife, they're not talking to each other about how difficult this entire experience is.
Well, and this is brutal because the complaints are just adding up for Janelle. Because not only is Janelle feeling isolated, alone, separated from this, but then also Meri and Kody are still, like, Meri would just up and travel with Kody while he goes off on his sales trips and things. And so Janelle was seeing this all as just wildly irresponsible because when Meri didn't work, Meri didn't get paid because she didn't have paid leave, paid vacation. So now more responsibility is falling on her.
I guess I'll stay here and work overtime.
Yeah. So, like, what is going on?
Pull the extra weight.
So then she's looking to her mother for some support here, some advice, something. And her mom didn't really have answers either, but she's the only person that Janelle can rely on at this point.
I feel so bad for Janelle because there's like multiple things going on here. She left where she was originally living. She's living in a house with people she doesn't know very well, including her husband and sister wife who doesn't really seem to like her. All of her friends and family pretty much have turned their backs on her. Well, she doesn't really know anybody here.
Yeah, it was the shift to fundamentalism and entering into a polygamous marriage that caused a lot of the people that she grew up with and a lot of her family members to kind of turn away from her in a lot of ways. And so there were even a couple of staged interventions that were attempted to try to get her out of this cult type environment that they saw for her.
Her family cornered her at the house one time when she was there visiting, and they knew that there was no way for her to escape because Kody and Christine had just dropped her off and they were going to be coming back in a while. And they decided it was the perfect time to just berate her about her life. And she's pregnant. That was the other part that was terrible.
Brutal, yeah.
8 months pregnant. Maybe now's not the time to attempt to have an intervention about the lifestyle that she's chosen. It's a little late.
Well, and then at this point too, like, the reflection of that is that Janelle was talking about how losing her family hurt so much. Like, it was this emotional wound for her and this baggage that she's carrying with her now. I couldn't help but equate that to more recent times where you're feeling your polygamous family now fragmenting apart and separating and not getting along and kind of dividing into these two camps of Kody and Robyn versus everyone else. So, like, kind of reliving that experience.
And it's my way or the highway
mentality.
Right.
Like, all of that coming back too. Like, this is considering Janelle's past. Like, how does that play into the current developments in the family? It seemed to have a lot of parallels there.
A lot of people always talk about how difficult it was between her and Meri in the beginning of the marriage, and I think that's definitely a piece of it. But there was so much other stuff that Janelle was going through at the time, and she's such a bottle it up kind of person that I'm not surprised that this all kind of blew up and became like a powder keg.
Well, then she's talking about normally if she has all of these problems, if she has all of these emotions that she doesn't know how to manage, normally she would just pour herself into work, and then that's kind of what she did. That was her value. That was what she brought to the family, was financial stability. And then she was career oriented. And this was all the ways that she could build herself up and find self-worth in that. She lost her job as part of this move to move closer to be living with Kody and Meri at the time. So now you have that sort of part of your identity that is just being completely taken away from you now too. And then it's a smaller job market. She's having a hard time finding work. And that's just adding to the complications here.
Well, if that wasn't all enough to make Meri hate you already, she finds out 6 months into being married that she's pregnant.
So now we got to tell Meri, who's been trying to get pregnant for almost 3 years, hey, by the way, I'm pregnant.
It was really sad to me that she was very, very, very excited to be pregnant with Logan, mainly because it was going to give her something that made her feel like she was an important part of the family, because she feels very alienated already. It kind of made me wonder if that's part of why women in plural marriage have so many children, is that part of it is trying to find what your role is, find an identity. Janelle's talking about feeling so lost about who she is and what she wants and why she's here.
Well, then most of the teachings in that religion would be your sole purpose as a woman is to bring children into the world and raise them. So I think that's the other part of that too, is that is a repeated message that is delivered to her at this time. So maybe she is internalizing that. She doesn't fully understand like the amount of ways that this is like been bombarded into her as this is a solution. This is an answer to your problems. If you're feeling not valued or like you don't have worth, this is a way to secure that.
Or cement yourself as a part of this family that's not going anywhere. I have a question. Am I misremembering this, or did Christine also talk about when she found out she was pregnant that she kind of didn't care about Meri's feelings either because Meri was such a bitch to her?
No, it was Meri who didn't care about Christine because Meri had been trying.
The other way around.
It was the other way because Christine was already pregnant with Aspen, and then it was a couple months in where Meri found out that she was pregnant with Leon, and so then that's where Meri was making that announcement, was worried that Christine would think she was trying to steal her thunder, and then said, don't really give a shit. And that's basically what we had here, where Janelle did not care from the onset.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't care what Meri feels.
Man, these women all don't care about each other's feelings when they find out that they're having a baby.
If she's upset about it, whatever. Don't care. Things were incredibly tough in our relationship, so her feelings were of little importance to me at that moment. Janelle didn't care.
Unsurprisingly, they reach a new low in their relationship.
Is this when she moves out?
We can't skip that far ahead
Oh,
yet.
no.
We're about to.
I wasn't sure.
She's about to move out.
Okay, I wasn't sure which all-time low this was.
Okay,
because this is the Meri and Janelle all-time low.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the one where Kody decides that he's going to take a job logging on a mountain.
He's going to be pilling logs?
That's I guess, the origin story of why Kody thinks that he is skilled enough to cut down trees outside of the Shira Chateau and on the property.
He's always lumberjacking it over on Coyote Pass. Yeah, pretty much. And at the Shira Chateau.
Once again, he's taken Meri with him. Isn't this a dangerous job? It's not really like a fun thing to go along with someone to do.
Well, I don't think Meri would be able to just go hang out while he's logging.
She just gonna sit in a hotel room?
I don't know what her plans are. If they were going to be log jamming while they're there, something else, I don't know.
Well, Janelle's pregnant, and this is very upsetting to her. Her husband's about to leave on this trip, and once again, he's taking Meri with him. So she gets upset about it. She says something, and Meri decides in that moment to ridicule the makeup that Janelle has on because her friend did her makeup, kind of experimenting a little bit.
We were trying a new look. Maybe it wasn't the right vibe. Maybe it came out a little Mariah Plath.
Are we going to trust Meri's judgment on makeup? Like, girl, I don't think you need to be so upset that she said something. I understand why in the moment it was upsetting, but in hindsight...
It was the early 90s.
We've seen the brows.
I mean, come on. That too, yes.
Maybe not the worst brows in the family, but the second worst. That's an example of how cruel Meri can be. That in a moment where Janelle's upset, visibly upset, pregnant, vulnerable, she decides to make fun of her makeup.
Well, and that feels like it's one part of it, because Janelle was talking about how it had been months, just constant passive-aggressive behavior, snide remarks, building and building and building that had completely gone unaddressed. Janelle was not fighting back on any of this, and so then all it takes is one more to push you over the edge when you're already had a rough day or something else is going on that you were feeling sensitive about or vulnerable to. And then all it takes is one other shot to be thrown at you there. And it's just, I've had enough.
That's the game that people like that play, though. Like Meri. That's what they're doing, is they're going to pick. And then when you explode, they act like they have no idea why you got so upset.
So then, yeah, because, it's this little thing. I made one comment about your makeup because it didn't look so great. Or I didn't think it looked so great, but then you took it as this. It becomes a whole thing about how you overreacted. Okay, no, but there was like a volcano that had been building and building and building over all this time of all of those little comments. And this was just the thing that set it all off.
Not great, Meri. But Kody's able to save the day because Janelle just wants to know, do you love me? And he says, yeah, that's all I had to say. That's kind of shocking. That fixed everything. That's how I'm going to fix all the fights with my wives moving forward.
Janelle's bar is the lowest. Yeah, like we knew that. We knew that going into
How to
this.
set this bitch straight.
For Meri, yeah, like, I don't know how she's gonna. How do you recover from that then? If you're just gonna say, "Oh, Kody, just tell me that you love me," and then I'll be able to ignore this heinous shit that Meri's just been putting me through.
I think the only way we can fix this is if Janelle gets a chance at doing Meri's makeup, and then they have to go out in public.
Oh, that was the Leon and Meri solution. Was that at the Hawaii trip?
That was on the Hawaii trip.
Okay, yeah. Because for a second I was like, Alaska? No, that was not it.
No, Meri wasn't planning to stick around very long during that one.
No. She was not looking to reconcile anything at that point.
Okay, it seems like that was the lowest amount of effort that Kody could have exerted here. And then Janelle goes on to compliment him about how much he has grown and how mature he has become after having had all of this advice coming from all these other people and all kinds of different sides, and how confusing that must have been for him. He's had a lot of emotional maturity and he understands more. There's already growth in him.
I'm starting to believe people more when they're saying that the book itself is just a Kody puff piece. Like, that is the main goal from this entire thing. It's the wives tripping over themselves to try to make Kody look better than anybody else. They're all trying to make him look the best, cast him in the best light of how great of a husband he is. And so Janelle's constant praise here is, it's just finally Kody stopped listening to all these other external sources about what he should do in his marriage, and he just distilled all that advice down into himself and then confidently leads the family.
Okay, this is the point in time where Wynn does not want to attend Kody's wedding to Christine because he feels like he's doing such a shit job with the two wives he already has.
This is right at the time, yes, when Janelle
I just want to make sure those timelines are the same.
You are correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
This is right when Janelle is heavily pregnant with Logan, and it's kind of a whirlwind courting process that happens with Christine. Janelle's got that fuck it in her system. She's just like, yeah, whatever. Sure. Sounds good. Anybody else who can come in and take some of the focus, take some of the heat, be the target of Meri's rage and wrath instead of me, please.
I prefer it to be not me and not my baby.
Yeah.
So I'm totally cool with Christine.
The more people we can get in the house, the better.
She said it didn't even occur to her to be jealous, actually. Which, this is ironic because I feel like Janelle is in the same position, actually, as Meri when Robyn comes into the family, except Robyn is the baby that Meri wanted to fix the marriage. But Janelle's actually having a baby that she's going to get to focus on, and so she just doesn't care what's going on until it's too late, and then she'll start getting jealous.
See, I thought of this as, I think Kody and Janelle were both in agreement because Kody needed to dilute the marriage just between him and Meri, so he brought Janelle on, and then Janelle realized, this isn't really what I was expecting when I was joining this family. So yes, we need to dilute the marriage again, please. The sooner the better, because I'm going to lose my mind.
She doesn't really even know Christine. Meri knows Christine much better than Janelle does, which to me is kind of a red flag because now you're having a baby.
Janelle, how bad could this have been for you?
That you just are like, let's take a chance. Well, I'm going to take a chance on her.
And
hopefully it'll be better than the first one.
Meri gets along with Christine. So you could have recruited yourself into a 2-on-1 sister-wife sort of bout that you would have been entering here. And you didn't even realize that. You didn't give it a second thought. I would have said, if Meri's on board, I am leery.
I'd like to choose the person Meri does not like. That would actually be better for me. If she dislikes the person more than she dislikes me, that's my ideal circumstance to bring another wife into the family.
That'd be best case scenario, yeah. But
she's approaching this all wrong.
Janelle, she doesn't have that sort of mentality behind it here. Even though I think she is already taking to Kody's sort of view or stance on Christine joining the family, because the only thing that Janelle knew about Christine is that she's something of a little princess. And I think that's the terminology, the verbiage that we've heard from Kody a lot describing Christine.
Nobody's ever really explained what they mean by that, though, because when you call someone a princess, what I take away from that is that they need to be attended to. They have really high standards. They can't do anything for themselves.
I think young Christine was like that, though, because when Janelle was describing how just generally clueless Christine was, she's very naive.
Just being naive.
Well, she's naive. She does not understand how things in the world operate, or basic things that Janelle would view as like, you need to know how to do that to pay bills and to, just like functional things as an adult.
But when you call her a princess, it's implying that there's some level of entitlement there versus just never having been taught how to navigate the world.
Yes, and I would say that that's a big changing point, or like a difference maker, differentiator here, is because I think Janelle didn't really like Christine initially because Christine did not serve a utility function. She was not a practical wife in that sense. Janelle is very practical. So she didn't really understand what the contribution was, especially when you have Christine coming in being like, I don't plan on working. And Janelle's like, what are you talking about? Like, we are broke. I don't know how to explain it to you.
She did kind of come in with like a list of demands as far as how she wanted things to go, and that I'm going to be the third wife. I'm not going to work because I would like to take care of the future children who are not here yet, but eventually one day will be.
Yeah, we only have one. I
want my own house.
We only have one kid coming in and one on the way right now. So just like that isn't really like a stay-at-home sort of level of need right now. We need income. I think that was probably where they were butting heads a little bit there.
Well, Janelle doesn't know yet because she hasn't had Logan yet. She's going to learn very quickly that
she changes her mind. Well, she
could use the extra help.
Immediately sees the value of, yes, Christine would be doing childcare. That sounds good. Yes.
Her attitude changes very quickly, though, because the mood shifts. It's like the dark cloud that Meri brought over the mobile home has just disappeared. And now there's rainbows and sunshine, and everybody's in a good mood every day. And Christine's up cooking pancakes. Isn't that what you envisioned?
As Kody likes to say, Christine saved our bacon. Janelle bought it. Christine saved it.
It turns out that if you just come into the relationship with a diluted level of optimism and enthusiasm for every day,
that's good enough.
That'll fix everything.
That is enough of a Band-Aid to put over things where, we should be able to float for another 20, 25 years here. Because I noticed another pattern here is it seems like every time they would get established, anytime everybody was comfortable, anytime everything was going pretty smooth, they got into a rhythm, they found what works, they have this, they have that. That's when they have to have a huge upheaval in their life. So it's either they're moving to a completely different state because Kody's changing jobs, or he's adding a wife to the family, or somebody's having a kid, or, like these big, huge, life-changing
There's some
events.
type of disruption.
There's always something else that comes along that just completely resets, because you have to constantly be in a reactive state. Because otherwise, if I think about my life and where we've found ourselves in the circumstances that we are, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
Just keep the chaos going.
Gotta keep everybody.
Kick
the can down the road.
Yep. There's a camaraderie that has formed between Christine and Meri, and Janelle's not so sure that she's liking that. Because like you said, the two against one thing.
That's scary.
It could have come to fruition here. At first, that's how Janelle's taking it, because she's kind of the third wheel. She was the third wheel with Kody and Meri. Now she's the third wheel with Meri and Christine.
Okay, yeah. That is a red flag, and that could be cause for concern. I will say the part that I didn't like was the stuff where Janelle was complaining about feeling excluded because she wasn't being invited to things, even though if they had invited her, she probably would have said no anyway. She wouldn't have planned on going.
That really tracks for Janelle. I mean, I think that's still true today.
But then to be upset about, okay, I'm going to say no to everything, but then if I don't get invited, then I'm going to be really upset. So, I mean, you have to kind of know the balance there, or understand that if you're constantly saying no to these people, then it becomes harder for them to invite you too. Like,
I'm
there
not
is a
sure
mindset
that that's
there.
what happened, though. I feel like you're assuming that that's what happened. I think that Meri and Christine hit it off, and they never even had it occur to them that they should invite Janelle to go do certain things.
So that was, not great.
Also, I would be pissed if I was living in the house still. So they're still in this 3-bedroom mobile home. Christine said, there's no way I'm moving into the 3rd bedroom. She got her own apartment. Janelle's pregnant, about to have a baby, hates living with Meri. Where's her apartment? I would want to move out. Let Christine have her shot at living with Meri full time. Maybe that's why they're getting along so well right now.
Yeah, there is. There's a buffer zone. There's some time apart there. They're able to go to their separate spaces.
Also, what's the point of continuing to live there? Because once Logan's born, it doesn't sound like Meri or Christine really help her very much.
Well, it doesn't sound like Kody's really helping much either, because
he's gone logging.
Yeah, he's Kenny Loggins now. And basically just the relationship has, I mean, there's still like the functional level is what Janelle is crediting this to. They connect on an intellectual level, and then it's just basic information, operational sorts of deployments here that happen between them. But I don't think that there's like a support necessarily.
They're just talking logistics.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's all business, which we know. Janelle is one to get down to business.
She doesn't really have much more of a sorority story until Meri and Christine have their own kids.
Okay, this was messed up too, because then that was the other thing here, was that Christine and Meri were always giving Janelle a hard time, or it was something that they were able to ridicule Janelle or talk about her behind her back, about not having enough energy or not wanting to go and do things. And it was just all these different things that they were able to bond over, Christine and Meri.
Christine, you don't have a job.
Right.
Meri barely works part-time. Janelle is working full-time and basically financially supporting this family. Never gets a break from living with Meri and has a baby. Of course she's exhausted.
However, once Meri and Christine, they had their children were born, they were able to assist Janelle because now they know what it feels like. So I guess that's the thing, is like lacking empathy because you're not in that scenario yourself, individually, personally?
Well, I don't understand that, because they come from big families.
How
Big families where you've witnessed how exhausted your own parents are. And I'm assuming likely took on some of the responsibility of helping to raise the younger kids. And you don't know how exhausting it is to be a parent.
Well, and Janelle's touting about how great it is that they became parents of one big family. It's the essential part of our lives and the most defining trait of our family life. One big family. Well, it doesn't seem like you had a lot of support there until they had their own biological kids that they contributed to the one big family.
It kind of goes back to what they've said before. And I don't know that they've ever explicitly stated that they were like in the trenches together, especially when more and more kids kept coming.
Oh, yeah.
And there's just a whole bunch of children that needed to be taken care of, that
Well,
they bonded over desperation.
This was a big sticking point for me too, as far as like reading this part. It jumped out at me as far as the differences between the relationship and co-parenting style that Meri, Janelle, and Christine had versus when Robyn joins into the family. Because basically Janelle is over the moon with the co-parenting environment that they had as one big family. She trusted her kids to be with their moms, whoever's mom, whoever's kid. You knew that everyone was being taken care of. Janelle trusted Meri and Christine to handle every situation and make all parental decisions in her absence.
How do we go from the very poor relationship that she had with Meri at first and all of those really kind of traumatizing experiences of never doing something right in the way that Meri wanted it, to I totally trust her to raise my kids and not even run something by me before she has to deal with an emergency or has to discipline one of my kids?
Well, there was this unified front that they did have. It was the team mentality that they were able to approach. And then I guess the difference that you see is when Robyn joins the family, she doesn't have that same level of trust, because there are, just in terms of reprimanding children or behaviors, or the kids reprimanding siblings and correcting behavior as well, like that's not welcomed in terms of Robyn joining the family. So that becomes a weird sticking point, I think, as part of, kind of the differences that are highlighted there.
It would have been interesting to hear more about how did they navigate that, because they have such a hard time in every other area of their lives getting along with one another because they all do things differently. How is parenting the one thing that unified them and the thing that they were able to agree on?
That seems like it would be harder. Like that would be more difficult.
There are many families where there's just two parents and the two parents can't agree on how to raise the kids.
So how did we get 4 that are just like, yep, we're dialed in. We have this parenting thing down. Well, I guess once you add in Aspen and Logan too, then so like 6.
There are 6.
Yeah, 6 adults who are trying to navigate this. And how do you do this in the best way possible?
Maybe you just learned to let a lot of shit go.
I think that was probably a big part of it. And they were all at the same spot too, like where they were just completely overwhelmed. And so I think whatever standards they were going to let slide, they were all kind of in agreement of like, yeah.
Or I just can't even deal with that.
I don't want to think about that, or like, it's not even worth the energy or whatever. So I think they were all kind of at the same stage in life. And then that's the main difference there.
Everything's not fabulous though, because Janelle and Kody are still having arguments over the house being too small. This is the second biggest fight that they had. Well, really the biggest, but the second big fight we've heard in this chapter. Janelle has Gabriel, not doing well after. She definitely has postpartum depression. She is not figuring out how she's going to be able to pull herself out of this. She's very depressed, upset about multiple things.
Oh my gosh, she's stressed about finances.
The money,
yeah, like
the little house, all of these kids. It's very, very stressful on top of everything that she's going through. And Meri decides to pick another nasty fight with her.
We didn't get to hear what this one was about, which I think that's the biggest disservice. Even though it could have been just something small, stupid, just the big thing that sets Janelle off. It doesn't need to be anything in particular. It doesn't have to be a big, huge blowout, but it ended up being a big blowout fight.
Janelle leaves, but it sounds like her intention was for it to potentially be temporary, and she drives the half hour to the ranch where she goes whenever she needs to get away from all of these people. And Kody comes to pick her up the next day and just wants to know if she's over it.
He was picking her up to run some errands, and then while they're driving around, he just looks over and says, "So you better now? Are you better now?"
No. That's minimizing everything that she's been going through. And clearly his hope was that she would have just gone and dealt with her feelings herself and would not make them his problem the next day. Well, it's going to be a very big problem because she decides, fuck it. I have the money. I have a job. I've been able to support myself if I wanted to get an apartment for a while. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move out. I'm not going to stay in this tinderbox a moment longer.
So then at this point, it's Kody and Meri living in the house. Like, did Christine, was she still
eventually
living separate?
They don't say here, but eventually Christine does move into that mobile home with them.
Okay. So that's what I was going to say was like, was it 3 separate residences, or did it sounded like
once she has Aspen that they're all living in they're together.
Because then when Janelle was talking about that too, of like she would still drop the kids off in the morning, then she would go to work. And so it was like,
well, she can't give up the childcare.
Oh, no. I mean, that's important.
We're figuring out how to make this work with Janelle living in a separate house because she needs some space.
But this was just like, it's doing polygamy on hard mode. This was a rule that they set for themselves that wasn't exactly stipulated of you need to be living as one singular unit under the same roof. And that was just very not good for them, specifically the relationship between Janelle and Meri.
Well, and the house, we have to talk about the house they were living in because it's a mobile home. This was not a spread out house where there's a lot of room. They've joked about how on top of each other they were, that you could hear pretty much everything that was going on in the bedroom next to you. That's
if you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
They're sharing one kitchen. We know that they cannot do that. That's a disaster.
It sounds like Meri and Christine did gang up on Janelle about the dishes in the sink because Janelle has a let it soak methodology for the evening, and she does her dishes in the morning. When she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, she goes clunking around in the kitchen. That's the best time to do dishes.
Maybe that's the problem, and not that they needed to have a super clean kitchen before they went to sleep. It's because you're up so early in the morning and now you're bashing around the dishes and the silverware.
I'm sure Janelle was not the most considerate when it comes to doing the dishes in this environment. Balls early in the morning when she was getting up before work. She's smashing and bashing, baby.
This opens a whole new world for her, though. This is living plural marriage, but she has the ability to run her house the way that she likes it, and there's no stress of worrying about her sister wives approving of the things she does.
It's the best of both worlds. She gets to have her red velvet cake and eat it too.
You know, her enthusiasm about this kind of confused me because they haven't had the Biggie Housey discussion yet at this point in time that the book's getting written. But she eventually becomes a very big advocate of the one big house, when I would have expected her to be the least likely to want to do that.
I think she was okay with one big house as long as there were separate living quarters, because everybody kind of agrees that the Lehi house in Utah ends up being the best case scenario as far as what they were looking to accomplish for living as one big family, but also having separate quarters, separate apartments. So that's kind of what Janelle gets to experience here, a little glimpse of that. And then they get to try to apply that into one singular house later on down the road.
This is 10 years into her marriage with Kody. And this is the first time that they're able to spend time together and they don't have other distractions.
The part that got me too was how she glossed over stuff. She was talking about between her relationship with Meri as well. I didn't have time to think about the petty stuff. That was the source of so many of my earlier grievances with Meri. We moved on. They moved on, but I don't think they addressed anything. So if you don't address...
You moved on, but you didn't move past it.
Well, that, and like if you move on because, okay, I'm not upset about, it was all stupid stuff that you were calling out and that it was annoying me and frustrating at that time. I don't have all of that emotional frustration anymore. And so it's not this 1,000-pound weight on my shoulders every day to carry around. But if we do move in, it's going to be death by 1,000 cuts again. You're going to do that again if we don't change the behavior. So if we're going to continue to spar the way that we did before, I'm going to pop a lid at some point.
Well, this is a nice little Band-Aid for Janelle because she doesn't have to deal with the confrontation that comes with addressing the behavior.
Right. I don't want to do that. That's the work that I'm not looking to do. Career work, yes. Emotional work, no.
She's living in this house by herself for 2 years. And then Kody says, hey, everything's going great. Let's move to Utah. I got another job.
A better job where I can be home. It's going to be great. And Janelle said, oh, that sounds fun. Enjoy that.
I'll see you when you come to Wyoming to visit.
See you later.
It does feel like that's a conversation that you have before you get the job. What are you looking for? And are you happy here? You're happy in your job. You're happy where we're living.
Well, Janelle was very established. Janelle was good with the living situation. She had her own car that was not held together by duct tape. She was...
She's thriving on her own.
She's doing great. Yeah, she's doing very, very well. It's going great. But now Kody has an opportunity for a better job. So it's time to up and move everyone with no notice and under cover of darkness, move to Utah.
Oh, and you can't tell anyone.
By the way.
This is important.
We leave in 3 days. So
not that move.
No, different.
One of the other 21s that they've had. He finds the Lehi house, and that's what sells Janelle on actually going with them.
That makes it at least survivable, I guess, at that state. But
I'd still be really scared.
Oh, I would be so worried if I was Janelle because the job thing, because that's still your entire identity, and that was your whole ability to take yourself out of horrible situations too. So
and now you've got to leave your job. Yeah, that's
we got a
terrifying.
glimpse of that when they moved to Vegas and they were at the rentals, the different rentals scattered around Vegas. And Janelle lost her job. She was trying to find a new job. She was stressed out, dude, because she was not having a good time.
I don't know if you could have sold me on the Lehi house with Meri being in the middle living quarters. If I were Janelle, I'd want to be on the opposite side of the house for her. I need someone else in the middle.
A buffer.
I need a buffer.
Yeah, Meri in the middle.
I don't want to share any walls with her, any doors.
Well, she has the front door. So, yeah, that becomes an issue later when they're trying to walk kids over to Christine's house for homeschooling.
Their version of the story is that this house is amazing for them. They're all able to relax. They're comfortable around each other again. The real selling point, I'm pretty sure, for Janelle is that Kody gets to be home with all of the kids.
Yeah, because that is the sole reason why she married Kody, is that he would be a good dad. So I think that's always been her measuring stick for Kody as a husband, too, is how good of a dad is he being? But what she still lived, it took her a year because, hey, she lost her babysitters. She lost childcare. So she wasn't able to move down to
Oh, please. I'd be
Lehi.
like, let's wait and see how this works out. I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to up and leave my job and follow you right away.
So I think,
Let's see if it sticks.
Janelle was, she was expecting to hear, oh, we're moving back to Wyoming. So she was going to save herself a move here and just stay up there.
Just cut to the chase.
Yeah, come on.
She's only living a half an hour away from the ranch. Why would you want to move to a whole nother state? That would be hard. All of her family pretty much has said, we're not interested in you. And now you're going to move away from your mom, who's one of the only people that you still have a connection to. I think it's a big sacrifice. A lot being asked of Janelle. Everything's good, though. I want to read this portion because I highlighted it, her talking about how great Kody is. I have a husband who is unbelievably sensitive to my needs and wants. He is intimately engaged with his children. He is the most logical, loving parent I've ever seen. So I'd lucked into the most romantic thing I could have ever dreamed of, an ideal parent with whom I also have an intellectual connection. That was all Janelle wanted out of this relationship, and I don't think she got it. Was there a point in time where Kody really did measure up to all of these things, or is it that, like you said, this is the Kody puff piece?
Well, either that, and then like Janelle talks about, it's her confidence that she starts building up in some ways, but then also she's emotionally guarded. She throws up walls to protect herself. It's hard to get through. So it's almost like, oh, if there are any shortcomings in our marriage, in my relationship with Kody, it's because I'm not able to be vulnerable with him.
Oh, so it's on her.
It's on her in a lot of ways, is kind of what she was describing in some of those parts too. But it was almost like the reason why they didn't have a great connection was because she was withdrawn. She would separate from that intimacy. But like usual, once your relationship with Kody gets to a really good spot, something else has to come up. And this time it's Robyn. He's got to throw you a curveball here. Janelle wasn't expecting this.
They're 16 years in. And yet again, she's had to navigate through this and find something that works for her.
Well, and they spent all this time adjusting, working with each other, adapting to one another's preferences and traits and individual quirks. They developed their own sort of system, family system that works. And now we're just going to throw a whole wrench into this. But comparison is the thief of joy. So don't think about it too much about Kody's relationship with Robyn, because then you're really going to get upset.
It's very disappointing that Janelle was not the voice of reason in this. She just goes along with it instead of saying, hey, I think there's a lot of stuff here that makes this complicated. We've all had a really hard time of making this work. We're finally in a good place. Now we're going to bring a new person into the family. We're really not financially stable and pretty much never have been, but we're going to take another woman and 3 children on, plus what other kids you go on to have together. Like, this just seems like a lot.
Well, not only that, they're also signing up for a TLC reality television series that is going to document this process as well, which some might say that would be a little disruptive in a relationship and a family system as well.
You don't even know how you guys are going to be reacted to once the public finds out about you. You don't know if this is going to make anyone uncomfortable or increase tensions in the family. And then you're going to do this crazy thing of bringing a new person into the relationship after all of these years.
Slowly, though, we're going to really ease Robyn into this, because Kody has learned from his shortcomings with adding Janelle and Christine. He rushed that. So it's good. He's going to take his time. He's going to protect Robyn the way he didn't protect Janelle and Christine.
But is that a Kody mandated thing or a Robyn request? Because we're giving all the credit to Kody.
I was going to say, and Meri is involved too. So like, where does Meri fit in? Was she
he stopped listening to Meri when she gave him the green light to make this work.
Well, she accidentally gave a green light, which then Kody took as a full steam ahead sort of green light. All gas, no brakes.
I'm just wondering, because Robyn talked about how she was worried about having the kids get to know everyone and how important that was to her. And I think that she was the one who was behind this slow integration to a certain point. And then when she decided that she was ready to get married, she wanted to blow full steam ahead.
Whoa. She's making that 2-seater a 1-seater. Yeah.
She was wanting her rotation night. She started demanding that.
Well, yeah, because they're all spokes in a wheel, and you just got to kind of move over and make room for the next spoke. And Robyn be spoken.
Everything's good until they actually get married, at least from Janelle's standpoint. She didn't really struggle with the idea of her coming into the family until it was already done.
So what was it? The parenting differences? Probably. I think that becomes most apparent to Janelle.
She doesn't really talk too much shit about Robyn, other than the way that she raises her kids.
The parenting. Yeah, because I think that was the biggest difference that you could see from the onset immediately.
But she had something to say about Christine not working. Come on.
How
Robyn comes into this family and she has 3 children that need to be supported.
And a shitload of debt from her previous marriage. So, like, could we see this as maybe an opportunity for increased financial support? Maybe Kody has credited Robyn with the TLC show, and the TLC show money obviously is all thanks to Robyn. We wouldn't have a show if she wasn't joining the family.
No, they wouldn't have something to talk about that wasn't centered around all of the problems that they've had for all of the years that they've been together. Because that was a great deflection to not have to talk about it.
So Janelle didn't feel comfortable bringing up those examples, or at least she prioritized that Robyn coddles her children.
Well, yeah, and I guess I kind of get why, because the Browns decide that they're going to traumatize their kids right off the bat as soon as Robyn joins the family. They pull all of the kids who have been mostly homeschooled their entire lives out of whatever homeschool church that they were in.
Christine teaching.
The Church of Christine. And they put them in public school so that they could be in school with Robyn's kids. Doesn't that seem like a lot?
That's a big shift.
This new woman shows up. You're having to start treating her kids like they're your siblings. You've never been in this circumstance before because your parents were all together before any of you were ever born. You have to go to a new school now. We know that they're going to then take them out of school and move them to a whole nother state. So the trauma related to the Lehi move starts before the move. Starts with putting these kids in public school.
They wouldn't have had friends that they would have had to leave on a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's some shit, isn't it? That they went to a new school, they established a new group of friends, and then they pulled them out of it.
You make that bond so we can rip it.
January, they pull them out of school so that they can move in the middle of the year.
Tear it away from you there. So that was the thorn. Janelle, is pointing out the flaws here. So now she has to give, the rose part of the compliment.
She can't even fully criticize Robyn because she mentions that she coddles the kids, but how that's understandable because they had a tumultuous life.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, and also the comparison point being that Meri, Christine, and Janelle had so many children, they did not have time or space to baby them, is the way that she described it. So it was kind of a brush yourself off. If you're not bleeding, no point in crying to me about it type of a rough and tumble sort of approach to parenting that most of their kiddos had. A little different.
Robyn's going to bring a lot of good things into the family, though. What's our rose? We had our thorn.
It's the most important thing is how to argue.
I'm sorry, the most important thing.
Oh, they most.
On page 132,
yep.
3/4 of the way down the page, we have a typo. And I would like to send my bill for having edited the book.
There you go. The most important thing Robyn has taught us is how to argue in a more effective and polite manner. Argue effectively and polite?
How about arguing in an honest manner? That's been one of the issues in this family.
Or just addressing.
Nobody's generally honest with each other at any point.
Just addressing issues in general. Yeah, because I think that's what Janelle's getting at here is that normally it would be anytime something was brought up, it was seen as a personal attack. And so that would be met with weeks of silent treatment or slamming doors or tension in the air, unaddressed, unresolved conflict. And
that's emotional immaturity.
Well, and that's also manipulation too of don't bring anything up for me to adjust in my life.
Because I'll make you regret it.
Yeah, I'm going to make you pay for that, essentially, if you do bring something up. So that was the learned behavior where they just stuffed everything down, don't address anything. So now Janelle is able to say, okay, it's nice with Robyn leading some of these family discussions. She's able to help us navigate some of the emotional turmoil that normally would have sent us off the rails previously. So good on you, Robyn.
Is that, though, because Robyn is a great communicator, or is it because Robyn doesn't have the toxic history with these people that they all have together?
That might be a bigger part of it. Yeah, is that she's able to...
You're not holding grudges or siding with anyone in a fight because you've never experienced these things firsthand done to you.
To an extent, because then I think, at that point, it's like you are kind of like a third party outsider, mediator type person. But then once you get integrated into the family, then you're going to establish relationship dynamics with these people too. And that's going to shift. You are no longer going to be a neutral third party. You are going to have your own alliances as well. So I think that's the part that goes unaddressed here.
Yeah, it's also weird that they hold Robyn up. They put her on this pedestal for not letting them leave a room until they've worked through an issue. That's not always the healthiest way to deal with something.
That's kidnapping, too, in a lot of states. So if you're holding someone against their will in a room, that's not okay.
Sometimes people do just need to take a little time to cool off or think through something so that they're not so reactionary when they're responding to something.
Well, because if you're forcing Meri, who has a bit of a temper and she can say things that she'll regret, maybe it's not the exact moment to be digging in and having her respond to things. So those types of things, different communication styles.
My interpretation of it is that this, once again, is Robyn coming into the family and saying, this is how I do things.
You need to do it
You need
this way.
to do it this way. This is the right way to do things, which is actually a lot of what Meri did. And yet they despise Meri for that.
But then Robyn, they admire for
Right,
this.
so
So that's,
confused.
it's like a mixed message here from that, because all of the things that Janelle was talking about, what made the OG3 so great was how they adapted to each other. They were so, taking everyone into account and then agreeing, coming to the shared responsibilities and understandings about how to parent, how to navigate this one big family approach. And then we're kind of flipping all of that and saying, yeah, but except for the stuff that Robyn doesn't like, then we're going to change that so that Robyn is more comfortable. Okay, well, that's not how that worked.
No, well, there's not a lot of things that Janelle's willing to change. She's not going to take any of Robyn's offers to help her with anything or just getting to know her. She was okay with Robyn joining the family, but has decided that she really doesn't need to know another person.
I thought it would be great if we just kind of, we're in the same vehicle, but we're looking out different windows, was the analogy that Janelle gave, which I thought that was very apt and poetic in its own way, where we don't really need to converse or be friends or have a closeness or rely on each other. I think we could just kind of generally go in the same direction as a family, but not really interact too much as needed. But what were these olive branches that Robyn was talking about? She was bringing Janelle knickknacks?
That's all she knows how to do, is to go spend money that they don't have to win your friendship.
Which I'm like, okay, well, that's why that wasn't connecting with Janelle, because Janelle is seeing you hand her these expensive trinkets, and all she's seeing is the Klarna the Klarna
all
interest,
the Affirm payments,
all of the payments that are going out, and she's like, stop doing this.
The way to Janelle's heart is to get a part-time job.
That would have done wonders for her if Robyn said, wow, look, a return on an investment that I've made. And Janelle would say, thank fucking God, because I didn't know how I was going to pay the electric bill this month. That's the road to Janelle's heart. Financial security.
I had to giggle that she really doesn't ever come around to liking Robyn. She says, I got tired of fighting against Robyn and the potential friendship between us.
She's like a sad puppy who just keeps showing up at my door, hoping that I'm going to pat her on the head one of these days. All right. Kody talked me into it. I feel like that's a bigger unspoken part of this.
Robyn says that you're not nice enough to her. It's the same talk Christine got.
Robyn said that you're hurting her feelings by rejecting her knickknacks and trinkets. I don't like that Janelle is crediting Robyn with an amazing amount of emotional maturity. I don't think that there's an emotional maturity. I think there's an emotional intelligence or perception level, but not maturity. So I don't like that attribution here.
Yeah, I would not use the word mature to describe Robyn.
No.
I do think in some ways she communicates in a more palatable way, but I don't think that qualifies her as emotionally mature.
No, I think she's empathetic. I think she is attuned to other people's emotions, but it's not to their benefit. It's to Robyn's benefit. So that would be detracting from the maturity side of things because Robyn's trying to get out of it what would best favor her.
Yeah, that's a great lead-in because Janelle goes on to compliment Robyn about how this emotional maturity has led to them realizing all of these areas of their lives in their marriages that they need to solidify. Robyn has pointed out that there are areas that they need to improve upon. And they're taking that as constructive feedback.
Why is Robyn
commenting on your marriage?
Calling out people's shortcomings and saying that this is stuff that you need to fix with Kody?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great question, especially Robyn, who only started living plural marriage 5 minutes ago and has decided to look around and tell you where your marriage is lacking.
She has decided you suck at marriage.
I guess one of the things that she convinces Kody and or Janelle of is that Janelle doesn't talk to Kody nice enough.
Not all of us talk pretty, bitch, right?
Exactly. She's not talking sweetly enough to him, which is why it's not eliciting the response that she wants, which is such a disgusting
I was going to say
statement.
Is this part of Robyn's school of courting too? Probably. It's where it's like, you have to take your kerchief and drop it and pretend like you can't pick it up.
The bend and snap, except less sexy.
No, yeah, not so much that. And she wouldn't be doing it. It's you're asking him to do this simple thing for you that you could do yourself. But instead, it's going to be getting him to do that for you. Perhaps repeatedly, just to test his level of devotion.
How did she sell this to Janelle that she does take this advice and changes her tone?
Okay, here's the other part that's frustrating. Why is it like actually accurate though too? Like why did it work? That's the other part that I don't like about this.
Oh, it worked because she's being more Robyn-like with Kody.
Well, I think
that's what Kody wants is for them all to be like Robyn. And it started way before COVID.
Part of that, yeah. And then I think even just like the boundaries that they established then too of being more deliberate in intention with like having a goodbye hug before Janelle would leave for work. So like there is a physical intimacy connection that happens, but it's these smaller moments that can,
That's fine, but why is Robyn the one who's giving that advice to Janelle rather than Kody saying, this is something that would make me feel closer to you? I don't really like that when I leave for work in the morning, I just kind of leave and you don't acknowledge it.
Or they're talking business in the evenings or on dates, and then they're just business associates now. So I'm glad that Robyn's solution to that was to start a family business. So then that way...
So they have more things, it's more stressful financial things to talk about.
We have less income, more expenditures, and more conversation pieces about business. Thank you for solving that.
Well, the lesson that Janelle has had from all of her time in plural marriage is that there's beauty to the principle because it demands that you never stop working on yourself in order to be the best person you can be on this earth.
There's no room for complacency. Yes. And the family is still evolving too.
But isn't that maybe the whole point of being human?
Just growth, change.
Growth. Yeah. Does it take the principle to be the driving force behind you wanting to grow as a person?
I don't think that would be a necessary part of it, but it seems to be that they're convinced that it is. Yes.
And really, we could have started and ended this chapter with, you don't pick your sisters. Sometimes you get along with them, and sometimes you want to kill them. But deep down, you always love them.
Always and forever.
Not a whole lot about Robyn.
No, just right at the end there. And I think, I hate to say this too, the first part of the chapter really dragged for me. And so then once Robyn showed up, then it was interesting. So I was like, man, yeah, it's a good thing that happened, that we had something to talk about here.
I was getting stressed reading it because I knew that Robyn coming to the family had to be in the chapter at some point.
Still going.
And I was like, we're still not there. How many more pages are left?
I mean, it was only a couple of pages. So of like the 25-ish or something, I think like 4 of them had Robyn. 4 or 5, maybe.
I wish Janelle would have just said, I have nothing in common with this woman.
Not a fan.
I don't like her. I
1
probably
star
never will.
review. Yeah, 1-star review, wouldn't recommend.
Next week, we're moving on to Christine's chapter, which I'm more excited to read the Christine stuff because maybe we'll get a totally different story when we start to read Sister Wife.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Yeah, it seems to be changing whenever it's convenient here.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing our homework for the next book club. A little pre-reading, a prerequisite before we start our formal course.
The Sister Wives 101 before the more advanced classes kick in.
If you're still looking for more fundy snark, we're recapping Welcome to Plathville every week over on Surviving Reality.
So that's our other podcast. You can find that everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you want everything in one place, ad-free and early, make sure you swing on over to patreon.com/survivingpod, where you can get access to all of our episodes, plus a whole bunch of bonus episodes, too.
I'm very excited because this week we're going to be going back to an OG reality show. We're going to be recapping an episode of The Osbournes.
We've been watching in honor of the late, great Ozzy Osbourne, of course. But this will be, Season 1, Episode 4, the infamous ham over the fence throwing that takes place there.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.